So beginning then, with our time having reached exactly 1 hour and a few seconds. In the stage of initiation, the energies of the signs and their attendant constellations come through in a purer form and a more direct line than upon the path of discipleship. So in general, what do we have? Less distortion, less refraction, bending, a more transparent transmission. In the earlier stages, it's not opaque, but it may be simply translucent, and we don't get a full representation of what is being transmitted. So the initiate is responsive to planetary, systemic, and certain cosmic influences, not all by any means. For instance, Sirius is considered a cosmic influence. I suppose Alcyone is also. Maybe the influences of the stars of the Great Bear are considered cosmic. However they reach the initiate, through the sun and so forth, through planets and so forth. Anyway, they are cosmic, certain of them, but not all. So planetary and systemic and cosmic influences, certain of them reach the initiate, and he becomes, if I might so express it, a lens through which the many lights, which are energy itself, can stream and be focused on this planet. Well, he's definitely, obviously, a lesser lens. But the initiate is focusing many energies upon those he encounters and has to modulate them and be cautious, not release all possible energies in all situations, because they would do no good and they might do much harm. The initiate becomes a lens through which the many lights, which are energy itself, the many ray factors, planetary, systemic factors, etc., can reach our planet. These energies, the initiate tunes. To these energies, the initiate tunes his consciousness and thus becomes a planetary server. Very interesting idea. The planetary server arises because consciousness can be attuned to higher energies which must be used in service. So how often do we do this? Do we think, this situation requires the energy of this ray, this planet, this zodiacal factor, and then do we attune our consciousness, pause, and release thought or word according to that attunement? It sounds a bit laborious, doesn't it? But I suppose we'll get better and better at that and be able to do that spontaneously rather than get caught in cycles of reactivity based upon our habit patterns. Okay. The other point which I might here touch is that certain of the rays express themselves through two planets. Well, this is just the tip of the iceberg here. For instance, the fourth ray of harmony through conflict reaches us both through the moon and through Mercury. But we really have been told that no radiation is coming from the moon whatsoever. It's really dead. Only some effluvious influence comes forth. So really that fourth ray is coming to us through different planets. Through Vulcan, first, to a certain extent, correlating with the fourth ray coming through Taurus, with a proposed sub-monadic ray of Vulcan being the fourth, and maybe through Neptune to some extent, with Neptune correlated with the Buddhic plane highly. So the moon is mysterious in that respect. It's not a transmitter at all. It's actually an emitter of unwholesome, disintegrative influences. But for practical purposes here, the moon is said to rule or be ruled by or transmit the fourth ray, and perhaps a non-sacred planet, non-sacred fourth ray planet, is hiding behind the moon in some sense. So the fourth ray of harmony through conflict reaches us through the moon and Mercury, while the first ray of will and power reaches us through Vulcan and Pluto and through many other sources. But DK is confining the sources of transmission here. The first ray is probably reaching us in some respect through Mars, certainly through Saturn, we've been told, through Uranus with its first ray monad, though how effective the monadic ray of such a planet would be for us is debatable, and also Vulcan and Pluto. The real reason for this is one of the secrets of initiation, I suppose, and is hidden in the destiny of the fourth creative hierarchy, and in the will to manifest of the Lord of our earth, who is himself upon the third ray of active intelligence. Now look at what it means when he says that. Yes, but he is more essentially upon the second ray of love wisdom. Whoop, lower world. That won't do. Love wisdom. And even more essentially upon the first ray of will and power. But you see, certain statements are made and they're allowed to stand. Actually, DK had not reached that section of the book where he had revealed the three rays ruling the three periodical vehicles of our planetary logos. So I suppose up to this point he hadn't even discussed the second ray soul of our planetary logos. So the reason, there's kind of a 7 and 5 operating here. 5 subsidiary planets. The fourth ray operating through the moon and Mercury, a non-sacred and a sacred. The fifth ray operating through Venus and what? Nothing that we know of at the moment. The sixth ray operating through Mars and Neptune, a non-sacred and a sacred. The seventh ray operating through Uranus and what? The first ray through Vulcan and Pluto, or Pluto and Vulcan, a non-sacred and a sacred. The second ray through the Sun and Jupiter, or a planet non-sacred veiled by the Sun and Jupiter. The third ray operating through Earth and Saturn. So these, we're caught in sort of a 7-5 situation here. 7 sacred and 5 non-sacred. One is kind of reminded of the piano, and the 7 sacred white keys and the 5 non-sacred black keys. Sometimes these numbers are reversed. But our particular planetary logos has much of a non-sacred nature to redeem, and is perhaps working on sacredizing the non-sacred expressions of these rays and elevating them towards a more sacred expression. Our Earth logos has a very busy agenda, and much to redeem from the moon chain and the previous solar system. So perhaps that's why we have the 12 here. And upon our planet, we have to redeem the influences of the non-sacred planets and help them merge into the higher influences, which are also making themselves felt upon our planet. We have this issue of the 12 and the 14. 14 is an important number, but the 5th and 7th rays are left out. What will be the other planets within our solar system which would express the 5th and 7th rays? We have so many planets that it would seem to me that somehow and in some way the 5th and 7th rays expressed by Venus and Uranus respectively will find other planetary modes of expression, but these are not yet given. nor do we understand the perfect relationship between the 12 and the 14. The 12 definitely indicating a heart center activity, and the 14 representing two sets of sevens, which correspond to the Great Bear and the Little Bear, but also respond microcosmically to the 7 centers within the head, superior centers, or maybe even above the head, and the 7 more ordinary chakras. The 10, the 12, the 14. There's much to be said about those 3 numbers, as I suggested earlier. And I wonder if they correlate with sort of a 1, 2, and 3. The 10 correlating with the number 1, the 12 with the number 2, even though it sums to a 3, and the 14 somehow connected with the third aspect, active intelligence aspect. So anyway, why it is that the rays reach our planet, or why it is that the rays will express through a sacred and a non-sacred planet. We're talking about reaching us, so we are talking about our planet, is hidden, is one of the secrets of initiation, and hidden in the destiny of the 4th grade of hierarchy, which is a redemptive hierarchy standing midway between very sacred lives and very non-sacred lives, and also in the will to manifest of the Lord of our earth. And by that do we mean the Lord of our planetary scheme, or the Lord of our earth chain or globe? Anyway, we'll take it in a general sense. I don't think he means only the 4th ray and only the 1st ray. There are a number of different rays which manifest through 2 planets. So we have to create here a sacred planet which is highly redemptive in relation to the 3rd aspect, which has gone before in an unsuccessful manner. The 3rd aspect has manifested itself in our planet unsuccessfully. It seems to have manifested itself in a solar systemic manner unsuccessfully, as DK hints at some sort of rebellion in the previous solar system which created perhaps certain failures. And we're told that evil, cosmic evil, has something to do with the misalignment of stars in the Great Bear, maybe involving the Pleiades, kind of a 3rd aspect center as well. And when you look at the Great Bear, you seem to see that the 3rd star, a 3rd ray star, is out of alignment in the handle of the Dipper. So is there, even in our cosmic system, a misalignment between the 3rd ray and the 2nd ray? Anyway, we have a 3rd ray planet in which the Christ principle of redemption, the 2nd ray, is beginning actively to assert itself. And I suppose that the destiny of our humanity, which includes moon chain types as well as earth chain types for redemptive purposes, and of our planetary logos, which includes moon chain lives as well as earth chain lives in the 4th chain, has much to do with redeeming the 3rd aspect. And when I think about why, with respect to ourselves, the rays operate through 2 types of planets, the idea of redemption comes to my mind. But of course there's a solar systemic interpretation as well, because I suppose if we look at these non-sacred planets, except for the moon, they do apply to the whole solar system and are interactive with all planetary logoi in the entire solar system. So, we're presented here with secrets of initiation. He doesn't tell us which, but it sounds pretty high. And when we're dealing with destiny, we're dealing with the monadic factor and high initiations. And in the will to manifest of our Lord, of the Lord of our earth. The will to manifest what? Something sacred and redeemed. So all of us have internally the need, microcosmically, to redeem the Earth, Mars, Pluto, and the non-sacred fourth and second-rate planet, which are all part of our system, and maybe correlate with different chakras within our system that are not being too much accentuated, or which are relatively non-sacred chakras. Perhaps we have a task microcosmically to redeem these types of influences in our own nature if we are truly to manifest as a sacred human being. Many mysteries here. Okay. And of him, who is the Lord of our earth, it is said that when the third great energy is related to the fourth grade of hierarchy, the mystery of the perfected seven will be understood. Well, in a way, the third grade energy is the energy of the Holy Spirit, Brahma, Fohat, the third ray. It does seem to be related to the fourth grade of hierarchy, in the sense that man is Manas, but we are certainly not expressing a perfected Manas by any means. So, is it related or properly related to the fourth grade of hierarchy? The mystery of the perfected seven will be understood. It's almost as if we're adding the three above the four. The four of the fourth grade of hierarchy and the third grade energy somehow representing the number three, the 3 and 4 making a 7. We know that in some respects we are incomplete, and we are representatives of a fourfoldness which has to become a sevenfoldness and eventually a tenfoldness. We know that the 3, the third grade energy, is the dominant energy of the lower 4 of attribute, rays of attribute. The third grade energy is Saturnian. Saturn carries the plan and the purpose, but certainly the plan. Maybe Uranus more the purpose. And when the Saturnian energy is connected with our Earth, we have the possibility of an alignment with the plan, and the alignment of the fourth grade hierarchy with the plan. The Saturnian energy, the third grade energy, is a 3, and aligned or related to the fourth grade of hierarchy, it will be possible for that hierarchy to manifest the divine plan guided by Saturn. Now, Saturn in relation to our Earth is a mental planet, a mental center compared with a physical center the Earth represents in the body of a great third ray entity. You kind of wonder, is the third grade energy the energy of the third ray, or is it have something to do with the third person of the solar-logoic trinity? So anyway, there's a 1. The third grade energy is a single thing, but it's threefold, I suppose. It seems to mean the guidance of attribute by aspect. The perfected 7 is not the completely perfected 7. It's a number of relative perfection. But it seems somehow to add to humanity the guiding power of a greater three, which have to do with aspect rather than attribute, and which have to do with a triad, a spiritual triad, rather than with the lower quaternary. So it seems to, in a way, crown the fourth creative hierarchy, maybe with the energies of the other three hierarchies. Interestingly, we're told that both Shiva and Vishnu are in Brahma. So when you add the third great energy of Brahma, you get Shiva and Vishnu as well. You get a trinity. Thus the seven can be produced. Well, you see, this is pondering on the meaning of some of these really enigmatical statements, which will be the meaning of which will be revealed over the centuries, I think. Right now we offer what the intuition might give us or what abstract speculation might give us. We propose, and then comes the communication regarding what was really the correct proposition. One of the more obvious, I guess there are several, one of the more obvious of the significances of this statement is to be found in the unfoldment of intelligence and love in the initiate. Now, when we unfold intelligence and love, we are speaking very much of Venus, the union of love and knowledge, at which time of manifested expression, and at the last major initiation. So, is to be found in the unfoldment of intelligence and love in the initiate, at which time of manifested expression, and at the last major initiation, last major, seventh, he will be responsive to the synthesis of energies which emanate from the seven spirits before the throne of God. And, okay, this suggests the seventh initiation, which is dual and solar, and ruled by the dual second ray, and yet is supervised by the planetary logos as the Hierophant. He calls this an obvious one? Well, okay. One of the more obvious significances of this statement is to be found in the unfoldment of intelligence and love in the initiate. It's dual, at which time of manifested expression, and at the last major initiation, which if we begin major initiations at the third, and realize that the eighth and ninth are rarely taken within our planetary confines, he will be responsive to the synthesis, thinking about the synthetic ray of love wisdom, the synthesis of love wisdom, the synthetic ray. He will be responsive to the synthesis of energies which emanate from the seven spirits before the throne. So the 2 and the 7 come together. It's a second ray initiation. It involves the solar logos in a dual aspect, and the seven spirits before the throne in a seven spirits before the throne. Oh, see how I'm going to do this? Seven spirits before the throne. I'm going to do this if I can just take an instructive moment. Seven spirits before the throne. Ah, I did it in capitals, so it did exist. So, the seven spirits before the throne. Come on now. Let's try this. Seven spirits before the throne. Try this. No. Good Lord. Seven spirits before the throne. Well, this is interesting. Seven spirits. Aha, SSBT, that's all. Seven spirits before the throne. There. Was that too tedious? Perhaps. This suggests the seventh initiation, which is dual and is solar. and perhaps a veilsman of the 7 sacred planets. The 7 spirits before the throne are, in a way, the 7 sacred planetary logoi before the solar logos. So he becomes responsive to the synthesis of the 7, and the 2 and 7 are united, making a 9. It is, after all, the last of the major initiations usually associated with this planet. The planetary logos presides. As I said before, not Sanat Kumara at the 5th, 4th and 3rd, not that unnamed existence, who is probably a still greater emanation of the planetary logos than is Sanat Kumara at the 6th, but the planetary logos himself. So I do think that we are dealing with the 7th initiation. This is speculative, of course. When the 3rd grade energy is related to the 4th grade of hierarchy, the mystery of the perfected 7 will be understood. So let's put that in here. The perfected 7 are the 7 spirits before the throne, presumably of the solar logos. Now, the 3rd grade energy is that of the 3rd ray, of course. At the 7th initiation, we're having the 2nd ray. I don't think we're talking about the 6th initiation, which is ruled by the 3rd ray. So there's still a little ambiguity here. One of the more obvious significances of this statement is to be found in the unfoldment of intelligence and love. It's almost like, let's call it love and wisdom, with wisdom being a sublimation of intelligence. It's kind of a 2nd and 3rd ray within the 2nd ray, given at the 7th initiation. Interestingly, a Geminian initiation, which involves the 2nd ray, and it is the 3rd sign. At which time, of manifested expression, and at the last major initiation, he will be responsive to the synthesis of energies which emanate from the 7 spirits before the throne of God. Now, there are planetarily 7 spirits before the throne of the planetary logos, and I guess they are Kumaras. And there are 7 spirits before the throne of the solar logos, and they are, I think, somehow the sacred planets of our solar system, possibly in alliance with some of the planets which carry the same ray. These 7 spirits before the throne of God are representatives, yes, of the 7 rishis of the Great Bear. So this means almost certainly that the 7 spirits before the throne are planetary logoi in this context. And their other pole, the 7 sisters of the Pleiades. There are triangles, we are told, between the 7 planetary logoi, I suppose the 7 major ones with subsidiary planetary logoi associated with them, the 4 and the 4, the 1 and the 1, the 3 and the 3, the 6 and the 6, the 2 and the 2. And there are other poles. So there are triangles, 7 Pleiades, 7 rishis, and 7 planetary logoi. These are the representatives of the 7 rishis of the Great Bear and their other pole, the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, much connected with Virgo, interestingly, symbolically recognized, and that's important, there must be some energy exchange, as the 7 wives of the rishis of the Great Bear. Here again, in relation to our solar system, do we find another great triangle of energies, of which the focal points on our Earth are the 7 spirits before the throne in the planetary sense. because our 7 spirits before the throne are somehow connected with the greater 7 spirits, which are full planetary logoi before the throne of God, the solar logos. And with this triangle we shall later deal, or simply want to refer to it here. Notice how cosmic he seems to be getting. What he's discussing here might well be found within a treatise on cosmic fire. So when we go back to these 7 spirits, the initiate at this high initiation may be responsive also to the 7 planetary spirits. And I'll put that in. At this high initiation, I'll say, the initiate may also be responsive to the 7 spirits before the throne in a planetary sense, the Kumaras, of which Sanat Kumara is one and is responsive therefore to the planetary logos. He's on his own planet, as it were. But you kind of wonder if Sanat Kumara is somehow reflecting what ray? 4th, 1st? What other sacred planet would he be the representative of? Is it Saturn, because the word is Sanat? These are intricate matters. Maybe if we were doing cosmic fire, we could go into them, and I think probably I did something of this nature when attempting to be more exacting by producing written commentaries for most of Cosmic Fire. I still have 100 pages to go. Hopefully I'll get to them, and maybe I'll have to do it verbally in this manner. So anyway, we have the Pleiades, 7. We have the Rishis of the Great Bear, 7. And we have 7 spirits before the throne in 2 categories. One, the reflection, the lower reflection of the other. And DK is going on. I simply want to refer to it here. The 7 spirits responsive to the 7 sacred planets. So he's focusing here on the planetary 7 spirits before the throne, who are also in the systemic sense 7 spirits before the throne. They are expressions of divine life upon earth. So the divine lives of the Great Bear and Pleiades, and also of the 7 sacred planets. Focal points for the lords of the 7 rays, which are planetary. Rulers of the 7 planes of consciousness and of manifestation, each of these Kumaras is, and so connected with Raja Deva lords, each of them connected with a Raja Deva lord. Representatives because, let us see, because responsive to the 7 Rishis of the Great Bear, who are expressions of the life of the one about whom naught may be said. It is said the 7 head centers within the one about whom naught may be said. The positive focal points for the 7 major cosmic energies, which are, I suppose, higher correspondences of the 7 rays, rulers of the 7 creative hierarchies. So the 7 rishis, now this is an important point, maybe something new for me. The 7 rishis are rulers of the 7, I suppose, manifested creative hierarchies. We have, I think, the 7 stars of the Great Bear connected with the Leo creative hierarchy, which is the first of the manifested creative hierarchies, and is also, I think, connected with Vulcan. Vulcan rules microcosmically the head centers of man, 7 of them, wherever they are, in the head or above the head. I sometimes wonder whether there's not 3 sets. 7 above the head, 7 in the head, and 7 in general, the lower 7, however we want to enumerate them. And related to positive poles too, he's giving us a lot of information here about the Rishis and the Pleiades, the 7 sisters of the 7 Pleiades, who are expressions of the dualism of manifestation in relation to the 7 Rishis. So you have the masculine and feminine poles, providing the negative pole to the positive aspect of the 7 Rishis, yes, and fuse with the positive energies of the Great Bear, and unitedly work through 7 of the zodiacal signs. This is intriguing. Working through only 7 of the zodiacal signs, which 7 of the stars of the Great Bear, 7 of the 9 major Pleiades, working through 7 of the zodiacal signs. Now, does he mean signs or constellations? Because if you think about it, these great beings may all be involved in the head center of the one about whom naught may be said. The 7 stars or Rishis of the Great Bear, the 7 major Pleiades out of 1,000, may be involved with the head center of the one about whom naught may be said, but then so are the zodiacal constellations, because they are the 12-fold major petal in the head center of the one about whom naught may be said. Maybe the Great Bear involves 7 centers in the head of the one about whom naught may be said, or above the head. Getting the geography on that is important. There are different books on the subject. Eventually we'll have to see this for ourselves. And then the jewel box. You kind of wonder about the jewel box which the Pleiades provides, and whether that jewel box is somehow not the central jewel of the major head center within the 1,000-petal lotus of the one about whom naught may be said. All of these seem head center related. But of course one is mystified by the idea of 7. But the implication of 7 zodiacal constellations is, if I could just spell it, is that 7 of the zodiacal constellations are sacred and 5 are non-sacred. Well, we know that all of these beings are unequally developed. So could we choose 7 through which the major ray working through a star in the Rishis or one of the Pleiades is working through a zodiacal constellation which expresses particularly that ray? Of course, we're limited by the idea of world periods. I mean, is it always so or only so during a certain world period? But he does tell us, at least at this time, that Aries expresses ray 1, that Virgo expresses ray 2, well, how should we look at this? Cancer expresses ray 3, and yet Capricorn expresses ray 3 for disciples. That Scorpio expresses ray 4. That, well, Leo first, but Aquarius soon. Aquarius expresses ray 5, or will express it soon. Sagittarius expresses ray 6, and the Capricorn at this time expresses ray 7. So, Does this mean that these are the particular constellations? Well, he called them signs, of course. We have to know whether he literally means that. But that these are the, let's call them constellations within the heart and the head center of the one about whom naught may be said, which are correlated with the 7 rays of the rishis and of the 7 Pleiades. So we would be leaving out Taurus, Gemini, Leo, although Leo was expressing a major 5th ray at this time, Aquarius taking over. Virgo's there. Libra we're leaving out. And Pisces. Did I miss something? Taurus is out. Gemini is out. Cancer is present. Leo is out. Virgo is present. Libra is out. And Pisces is out. And yet, cosmic decanates include Taurus, Scorpio, and Pisces. So, really important signs or constellations, Taurus and Pisces being left out, Scorpio being included. Well, this is a speculation. How do we know? The 7 rays, which of the 7 rays are connected with the various signs of the zodiac? How do we really know that? And I guess we don't. Here again, says the Tibetan wisely, the complexity of the forces playing upon our planet and increasing in their number and their potency as the vehicles of response upon our planet become highly developed and sensitive, and even as our planetary logos becomes more highly developed and sensitive, and are therefore capable of a truer reaction and a more rapid response to the many forces impinging upon our planetary forms of life. So I guess there is maybe a kind of bewildering complexity when it comes to the energies to which we as life forms upon our planet can be responsive, because our planet, becoming more sacred, becomes increasingly responsive. It has been remarked by a profound astrological expert who works with the masters of the Great White Lodge. I wonder if he's even more advanced than the masters, that when humanity comprehends the distinction between the signs and the constellations, understands the nature of the polarity of energies, and responds to the 3 cosmic realities, the 12 cosmic energies, and the 7 planetary impacts, and the interplay of the 12 creative hierarchies, then and not till then will a radiant light be seen, and the destiny of our solar logos be finally determined. That's an extraordinary statement. So it seems that humanity is involved with determining the destiny of our solar logos. Seems a little out of proportion, but our Earth is very important in the determining the destiny of our solar logos according to the initiations which seem to be enacted at this time through our planetary scheme. And humanity is very important in determining the destiny of our planetary logos. We could have the power to retard. So that's what a statement that is. Worth rereading, such a synthetic statement far in the future, because our knowledge of astrology is so slim. Our knowledge of cosmic astrology, cosmic reality, so slim. But the different factors are being put together. When humanity comprehends the distinction between the signs and the constellations, DK has expressed that for us. Signs as concentrated influences and constellations as galaxies of stars. Understands the nature of the polarity of energies. Well, energies are related to each other in a polar sense. Certainly the signs of the zodiac are, the rays are, positive and negative, and maybe within each of the energies there are polarities of positive and negative, and even of neutral, the trinity within each perhaps, and responds to the three cosmic realities which presumably for us are the three major constellations, Great Bear, Pleiades, and Sirius, or sometimes perhaps substituting the Little Bear for Sirius. The three cosmic realities, the 12 cosmic energies, which I assume to be zodiacal, and the 7 planetary impacts, which I presume to be the impacts of the sacred planets and their rays, and the interplay of the 12 creative hierarchies, but I suppose especially 7, in terms of influencing humanity at this time. Then and not till then will a radiant light be seen, and the destiny of our solar logos finally determined. Well, who will see that radiant light? Is this, in other words, is it humanity seeing the radiant light, or is this a solar systemic development for which humanity is very responsible? It seems our Earth is pivotal in the evolutionary process of our solar logos, and humanity, although, spread out, I think, more than on this globe, is pivotal to the evolutionary progress of our planetary logos. So these are great eventualities. How we reach that, when we reach that, probably is not determined, though a desirable time of reaching is probably given. Behind this statement from this supreme or great astrological expert who maybe works with the masters of the Great White Lies. Does that mean he is one of them? Or that he, as a teacher, is working with them? This we don't know. Is it Master DK himself? Well, I don't know why he'd need to do that, because he says so much here. He could just say it. He seems to be quoting someone else. It's as if at the moment the destiny of our solar logos, whether he takes the 4th cosmic initiation or the 5th in this solar system, is not entirely determined. Indications are there. But what will it be? Behind the statement are to be found 3 meanings. One for average intelligent man, another for disciples, and a third one for initiates above the 3rd degree. So we can all interpret what we think it means and see where our interpretation might fit. I suppose Master DK has laid out enough knowledge here for us to begin to understand this synthetic relationship. But we still don't have a practical understanding of these relationships, nor can we necessarily apply them in our individual and group lives. It's not until the 3rd degree that we can respond to the 3 great constellations, among which Sirius is considered one. The 12 cosmic energies, is that another code name for the signs or constellations of the zodiac? It seems to be. All the great energy systems which DK has laid out are here. But their synthesis of interactivity, that is something that we can theoretically appreciate, but I don't think it makes a whole lot of practical sense to us given our stage, very early stage, of synthetic understanding. That's one thing DK really seems to be offering us, a great possibility of entering into synthetic understanding, something that he has in abundance. As I earlier pointed out to you, the sign Virgo is related to 9 constellations through the rulers of Virgo, right? And I went through that the last one of the recent programs. And in this fact lies both prophecy and guarantee. That which this sign veils and hides is potentially responsive to 9 streams of energy. Well, what is it that Virgo veils and hides? It is the Christ consciousness. CHC, I want to add that too. Might as well not wait to do things until later. CHC. Let's do it over here and see if it can be put in here. And we'll call it Christ consciousness. One runs into it so often that one should have a little code for it. That which this sign veils and hides, which is, I believe, the growing Christ consciousness or consciousness of the developed soul, is potentially responsive to 9 streams of energy, creative streams, whoops, aha, okay, there we go, which, playing upon the life within the form and evoking response from the soul, produces those points of crisis and those moments of demonstrated development to which we have referred in speaking of Leo, Libra, Capricorn. 3 major signs of crisis, or 3 signs of major crisis, although there are other crises offered in relation to a number of additional signs of the zodiac, as we've discovered on page 472 of this book. So that which this sign veils or hides is potentially responsive to 9 streams of energy, potentially responsive, which, playing upon the life within the form and evoking response from the soul, produce those points of crises, we might say, wherein that which Virgo hides is tested out. And those moments of demonstrated development, because this is what a crisis is for, to demonstrate to oneself and to others and to the watching hierarchy that one has achieved a certain level of development, a certain stage within the overall development of the human being. So, the points of crisis of the individual, of the soul versus the personality, and of the emerging glorified soul in Capricorn, Capricorn holding the secret or mystery of the soul. Now we're going to look at some interesting connections via planetary rulers. Virgo is said to be a sign of detail. It's extremely rich. It's a long chapter, over 30 pages long, and we are dealing with many factors which we might wonder why, about which we might wonder why. Why are we dealing with them here? Why deal with Leo, Libra, Capricorn here? Well, I suppose because the rulers of Virgo correlate with 9 signs, including itself. And these 9 signs, the 9 has a relation to the 3, in which the creative activity of the 9 are tested out. If we could only remember where we've been and what we've done, but I suppose wisely we don't remember all that. What we are at the moment proves something of where we have been. But the evolutionary cycle is immensely long, at least in terms of the human conception, based upon, I suppose, the sense of the normal incarnation, its duration. Millions upon millions of years of development. Some of the incarnations not even worth remembering, says DK. Maybe not even traceable. I suspect traceable if enough effort were expended, but maybe it's not warranted. But when we get to review things under our own particular Bodhi tree, we will certainly see the main lives standing out and what they may have given us in terms of developmental factors. And then perhaps if we really know our esoteric astrology and rheology and psychology, we will be able to judge the importance of these incarnations and their energy contributants to the processes which we have come to recognize as developmental by studying rheology, astrology, and psychology. It should be quite illuminating, and hopefully we will have enough detachment to withstand it. Through Mercury, Virgo comes in close relation to 3 constellations. If you observe the way he changes the word signs and constellations, sometimes it's deliberate and then we have to know when it is. Sometimes it's just a blinding process, and we have to know when that is the case. He might as well have said 3 signs here, but he said constellations. And that High Master said that humanity has to know the difference between the signs and the constellations. I'm sure DK is purposefully mixing the use of these words at times. Here again is the triangle of energies of great importance in the life of the Christ child. I think we looked at Aries, Gemini, and Virgo a little while ago, talking about the relation of the pairs of opposites, beginning with Aries and treating the opposites as separate in Gemini, alternating and separate, and treating them as increasingly fused in Virgo. But with Aries, Gemini, and Scorpio, there's going to be a test to see which of the opposites prevails. Here again is the triangle of energies of great importance in the life of the Christ child, which Virgo guards and nourishes and hides. He repeats that formula. Guards, nourishes, and hides within herself a place of darkness where the Christ child can eventually be revealed. Well, this is the point, I think. So far, I'm holding my breath without any major collapse. Esoteric Astrology 86, Section B. Page what? Page 271, it seems. And beginning, Esoteric Astrology 86, C, page 271. Okay, so that's where we are.